Good morning, everybody. We'll get started here in about 2 minutes. Time for everybody to get dialed in. Good morning, everybody. We'll get started here in about a minute and a half. Everybody get dialed in. Oh, we'll get started here in about a minute, a little bit less than a minute. We had a good weekend. Hope your NFL team won, and sorry for those that did not win, and sorry for all those people who were rooting against Kansas City. Start here in about 30 seconds or less. Last few people are dialing in. Start here in a few seconds. Alrighty then, we'll go ahead and get started here. So guys, one of the things that you hear me preach over and over and over again is to get better at your skills. Many people tell me they just don't have time, they're so busy, they've got paperwork, they're chasing down cases, and lots of reasons. So today, I want to give you a tool that will probably save you at least an hour a day. For some of us, way more than an hour a day. And what is that tool? Well, it's simply this app, Moment Balance on the Screen. Measure your phone usage and what you're using it for. Guys, how many of you have actually got onto your Facebook account, your Instagram account, your TikTok account, your Reddit account, or whatever your preferred source of information is, and you just say, I'm going to look at it for a minute, and then a half an hour later, you look up at the clock and 30 minutes has gone by? Has that ever happened to anybody? Let me change that question. Has that ever not happened to anybody? So adding this app to your phone, or many similar to it, will at least let you know, geez, how much time am I flushing down the toilet on a daily basis? Multiply that times 5 working days. I don't care what you do on the weekends, but 5 working days. How much time am I flushing down the toilet during 5 working days? If instead I spent that time learning the scripts, if instead I spent that time doing the 15-minute drill, if instead, how much more proficient would I be? How much better would I be at communication, at being able to get clients to move, etc.? So guys, please do this. I mean, I've done this, and because I use my time not to learn the script. I know the script backwards for it, so I'm using it to learn Spanish. I've learned an awful lot of Spanish instead of doom scrolling and having people. Because guys, when we're on those sites, all we're doing is what? People are telling us that what we believe is right. People are telling us what we believe is right. Do we really need other people to be telling us what is right? No. So you need to use your time more efficiently. So 10 simple rules for living a better life. Number 1, and this will better life, better business life, better personal life. Make time for deep work every day, even for just 1 hour. Make time for deep work every day just for 1 hour. That would be a 15-minute drill. That would be learning the scripts as far as the business go. Number 2, fastest way to kill something special is by comparing it to something else. So, guys, this is a little bit Buddhist here, but live in the moment. If you've had a good time, don't say, well, gee, but it wasn't as good as we had last time. No. You had a good time. You had a good time. If you had a good case, you had a good case. If it's a small case, don't say, well, yeah, but I got that big case last year. No. The fastest way to kill something special is by comparing it to something else. Number 3, a big scary problem is just a bunch of small solvable problems. What's another word for this? A big scary problem is just a bunch of small solvable problems. What's another word for rule number 3? You should have a what? Should have a what? Should you have a big goal January 1st? No. What should you have January 1st? A process or a system. When you fall in love with that process, you win regardless of the results. Because with a process, you're constantly moving forward, and if something's not working, you can immediately identify it not working and change the process to make it work. Number 5, it is never too late to start, but there will never be a better time to start than right now. If you haven't been doing the 15-minute drill in 2024, you haven't started doing the 15-minute drill in 2025, when's the best time to start? Today, right now. If you haven't learned the script yet, when's the best time to start? Right now. Number 6, anything that costs you your mental health is too expensive. Does road rage cost you your mental health? Does getting angry at somebody cost you your mental health? Anything that costs you your mental health is too expensive. The key to progress equals long-term goals broken down into short-term actions. We just talked about that. A system or a process. That's the key to progress. Motivation is unreliable. Systems are the key. Guys, I didn't make up these 10 simple rules for living a better life, but you see how most of them, or a good half of them, align to having a process or having a system. That's why I do the 15-minute drill every day, first time I get in the office. Why? Because that's my system. It's unbreakable. It means I get better every single day. Fast way to clear your head is to get thoughts onto paper. So if you're having a bad day, write those things out. It's weird. It's weird. I know, and I'm the pot calling the kettle black. Journaling works. Journaling works. Journaling works. I have never journaled in my life, but so I know I'm the pot calling the kettle black. But if you ever become incapacitated, journaling will help you flush all those thoughts so that you can move forward. And number 10, when you say yes to everything, you give up control of your life. My business took off when I told people I only work with retirees. I do not do 401ks. I do not do 403bs. I do not work with anybody that's less than age 55. And remember, I gave away all of my clients. There's about 2/3 of my client base. I gave away about 2/3 of my client base who were below age 55, and I did that and got nothing for that. My agreement was that guy would take over the accounts and not start rolling those accounts. He would actually take care of them. That's why I agreed to not have him pay for it. So, and that's when my business took off, along with other reasons, recording my meetings, doing the 15-minute drill every day, having strips, all of that. But the biggest thing was when I look somebody in the eye and say, I only work with retirees. I can't be an expert on 401ks and on college planning and on life insurance and on this and that and retirement planning, pre-retirement planning and post-retirement planning. No, I am an expert on one thing only. When you reach retirement, ain't nobody in this town knows more than me about that, because that's all I do. When I did that and quit saying yes to taking all those other people on, my whole mindset changed and my whole business changed for the better. Make sense? So today I want to spend most of the call on successful sales communication strategy in 6 steps. 2 things people judge you on when they meet you. This is from Harvard Business School. Number 1 is, can I trust this person? Number 2, can I respect this person? And there's 2 behavioral economic principles that are being addressed, can be addressed in this trust factor. Ownership creates satisfaction. So giving people ownership makes people trust you. Giving people ownership of their thoughts gives them respect. Loss aversion. People are more motivated by avoiding a loss than acquiring a similar gain. That's from Kahneman and Tversky's prospect theory, or thinking fast, thinking slow. But here's the thing. We're going to talk a little bit here, I think in a slide or two, that this is not necessarily the case for everyone. People are more motivated by avoiding a loss than acquiring a similar gain. But there is a type of person who's always constantly willing to put it on, is not risk averse, is willing to gamble it all. Willing to gamble it all. And who is that person? What is the characteristic of that person? Somebody who is not risk averse. In fact, they don't mind risk. They don't see risk. They always think they're going to be lucky. They always think that luck is around the next turn. Who is that person? Well, we're going to talk about them. And again, not me saying it, but what science says here in a few slides. It's not included, it's the next slide. A chunk of people that are risk tolerant are those that, what are the characteristics? Those that have lower IQs, they're less educated, and they have lower income. So they're betting their lives on what? On facts, figures, processes, planning, or are they betting their lives on pull tabs and the lottery? So, and where are most of your clients? Most of your clients, disidentify most of your clients. Lower IQs, less educated, and lower income. Now, what that means, most of your clients are what? These people that are motivated more by avoiding loss than acquiring a similar gain, because they can look into the future, they can think about things, they know history, they know things happen, they don't deny reality, they know things can happen. So the people you're after are more motivated by avoiding a loss than acquiring a similar gain. You're not after these folks. So how often is this, and guys, I'm not being prejudiced here, this is actually researched out. How often has this happened to you, where the person loves your plan and thanks you, wow, this is awesome. This is the best plan I've seen. I really appreciate the time and effort you put into this. But then they won't pull the trigger, they change their minds, or they ghost you. Remember that the year that I went from, the 7 years, I never saw more than a few people. I didn't know how to market. The 8th year, I learned how to market, got in front of 300 people, got in front of $32 million, and moved $800,000. Brought on 3 clients. Why? All the people I got in front of that year, 101 case analysis, got in front of 300 people, did 101 case analysis. All those 101 praised me, loved me, said, this is fantastic. I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you've done for me. And then they did what? They took that information back to their current guy, but they said, Mike, if that guy ever retires, if he ever dies, if he ever moves, you're my guy. After that, that's when I learned that a rule we were taught in physics is two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. Well, that guy's already there, and I found out I need to remove that guy, not do a great case analysis. I need to figure out how to get rid of that guy. And that's when the 9th year, when I started creating, using motivation interviewing to create the system to get, not to show them how much I can help them, but instead help them identify how much their guy is screwing them to remove that guy so they would move. So this has happened. If this is happening to you, you're not using the 5Q system. If they love your plan, they won't pull the trigger, they change their mind so they ghost you, you're not using the 5Q system. Why? Because they decided to stay with their guy. If with the 5Q system, they're going to tell themselves 21 times, 42 times, they're going to tell themselves, actually, by using open-ended questions, I have them tell me 400 times. If you have them tell themselves 100 times, if you're a quarter as good as me, and only have them 100 times, if they tell themselves 100 times in an hour and a half that their guy is taking advantage of them, is screwing them, is hiding from them, how many of those people will move? All of them. So that's what I tell you that straight out. But let's look at the science. Why does that occur? Why should you not believe me, but instead look at the science? So let's look at the science. So we're going to look at neuroscience and what happens. And there's new science where they use a functional MRI. We've all heard of MRIs where they can measure activity, or they can use magnetism to look into your body. But the new is functional MRI, where they actually put you in there and then they ask you questions. They put through scenarios and they can see what's firing in your brain. So they can tell what turns people on, turns people off, makes people angry, makes people happy with this new technology, this functional MRI. And the big discovery is this: the brain can rewire itself. Another discovery is that we organize our emotions in a certain way that will either help or hurt our lives. And in this book, Organize Your Emotions, Optimize Your Lives, we can learn a lot of different things about how we can help people make better decisions. And I understand you're not a therapist, but if you understand the new science of how we all function and think, it's going to help you personally, it's going to help you with your relationships, and it's going to help you with your business. See, if you can keep your clients from being hijacked by knee-jerk reactions and instead help them make better financial choices, That's going to help them, and by helping them, it's going to help you. And the thing is, we all have two brains. We all heard about this before. We have a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. A left and a right. We've heard that, oh, the right is all the creative sides, the music and language and creative thought, and over here it's left, that's facts and figures, facts and figures. That is not the case. That is not how the brain works. In fact, they found that Thinking Fast and Slow, again, by Daniel Kahneman, who was an economist who won the Nobel Prize for economics, a psychologist who won the Nobel Prize for economics because he figured out how people deal with finances in the economy, and it's through this thinking fast and slow. So instead of having this analytical brain and creative brain, no, what they found is that we have two different systems in the brain. One is the fast, unconscious, automatic, everyday decisions, which makes us error prone. It's the heuristic part of the brain, for those of you who know what heuristics is, but it's the way the brain is wired to make decisions easier. Because otherwise, if we did not have this system one, this fast, unconscious, automatic decision-making process, we would freeze. Because every single minute of our life, we have to decide, should I take a breath or not take a breath? Should I turn on the light, not turn on the light? Should I go talk faster, talk slower? Should I do this, that? I mean, if I had to make a decision about every single thing when I'm driving, just think about when you first started driving compared to how you drive now. When you first started driving, oh, should I put my foot on the gas? Brake. Oh, what's this, that? Oh, no. Should I look in the rear view mirror? Hops, should I look in the rear mirror? What's going on? See, then as you learn, your brain gets hardwired, so you're only doing what? You're only doing things out of the blue you're reacting to. Otherwise, I mean, have you ever driven to work? You pull into the parking lot, like, wait a minute, I don't even remember driving. That's your automatic system, and we need that. Otherwise, our brains would explode. We need that system. But we need it to do the things we do every day. Should we be making important, life-changing decisions with fast, unconscious, automatic mindset? Or should it instead be with system 2, which is slow, conscious, effortful, complex decisions? If we're deciding on what to do with our finances for the rest of our life, do we want to be in system 1 or system 2? Obviously, we want to be in system 2. But system 2 requires more work. And our brain, on which side of this does our brain want to push every decision? If you think about it, what side of the system do you think that our brain would prefer to use? System 1 or system 2? What do you think? 1 or 2? 1 or 2? 1 or 2? Go ahead and type that in. 1 or 2? Yeah, our brain wants to do 1. Why? It requires less thinking, energy, etc. We're wired to try to use system 1 as much as possible. But system 2, our brain plays tricks on us in that we think system 2 is in control, that we're being thoughtful. We're checking all the boxes. We're doing the Ben Franklin this versus that decision-making process. We think we're comparing. We think we're making very conscious, very fact-based decisions. Most times we're not. And when I say most times, well, we'll see what they say. There's actually just I was going to tell you. Again, system 1, system 2. Why do you think the chunk of people that are more risk tolerant have lower IQs, educated, and lower incomes? Why? Because they're using system 1, not system 2. So we want to be reflective when it comes to our money, or do we want to be reflective when it comes to our money? We want to be reflective. We'll be reflective for most of the things we do when we're driving, but when we're talking about what we're going to do with our money for the rest of our lives, we better be reflective. So again, we're not doing the rational versus emotional brain, but we do, if you think about it, rational is, we're not doing the facts versus creative. It's actually facts versus emotional. And advisors are on the fact side. We're in the system 2 here. We're here. When we're dealing, how often do you deal with a fast, unconscious, automatic way with your clients' portfolios, with your clients' livelihood? You don't. You're over here in system 2. But your clients are over here. That's the problem, and we need to figure out how to get over that. So you're here in the rational, and they're over here in the emotional brain. What if I make a mistake? What if I have to tell my guy I want to leave him? What if I move this but I've been doing okay so far? Guys, are any of those rational thoughts, or are those all emotional? I've been doing okay the last year, so it's probably going to do well for the next year. Oh, I hate to tell this guy I left. I mean, we've been with them for 10 years. I don't want to make a mistake here. Things bad could happen. Are those rational, or are those emotional mindsets? Those are all emotional mindsets. That's where clients are. So you need to figure out how to get them on the rational side. So money is never about money. Money is never about money. The Brain Savvy Therapist Workbook. So let's talk about this. First of all, we understand, and we use this in the 5Q system, right? Men and women think differently. Men and women think differently. So you got men over here, or you got men over here. You got women over here. Men, they're more interested in beating a friend or hitting a benchmark, and women are more interested in meeting life goals, surviving, and thriving. Do we leverage this with the 5Q system? Yes, we do. Because we're here. This is all about the non-financial, meeting life goals, surviving, and thriving. That's the 7 non-financial things. And then when we get the wife on our side, then we start picking apart the benchmarks. You thought you were getting the best benchmark, but the best advice out there. But when we compare it to a benchmark, it ends up your current advisor is not giving you things that beat a benchmark. In fact, you're way behind the benchmark, and he's charging you for that. You could pay nothing and at least hit the benchmark, or what you're doing is missing the benchmark and paying a lot of money. So we get the wife on our side with the non-financial, and then we get this guy over here, the man, the husband, angry because he finds out I haven't been hitting the benchmark. I've been missing it, and that guy's charging me for it. So we use the 5Q system is using all of this stuff. So when we look at the Neuro Leadership Institute, we look at the how our brain works versus the rational brain. See, the emotional versus the rational brain, we need to leverage that stuff. See, it allows us to think we are being rational. But behind the curtain, our brain allows us to think we're being rational. So when we pull the curtain back, how many of your clients are being rational when they make decisions? The 5Q system is about pulling the curtain back for them so they can realize, oh, I'm making an emotional decision, a system 1 decision. I need to be making a system 2 decision. It slows the thinking down for them. And research shows that our conscious minds, our thoughts and our memories are involved in only 1 to 9% of every decision. Our conscious minds are involved in only 1 to 9% of every decision, because all the stuff that's going on beneath, it's the whole iceberg thing. The things that are going on beneath the surface, all of that's really making the decision. And then after our brains has made the decision, then that 1 to 9% is us rationalizing why all that stuff going on, the decision that was made unconsciously, makes sense. Every culture I've worked with, except one, the Aborigines in Australia, teaches people to hide their feelings. So we're not working with Aborigines in Australia, so we understand they're hiding their feelings. So when a client says, yes, let's do this, unconsciously, this is the conversation they're having. I'm still a little uncertain, though. I've made changes before, and some of them haven't turned out well. Maybe I should just hold off and do nothing. See, that's why when somebody comes into my office and they're all, at the first meeting, they're all excited about, I hate my advisor. He never talks to me. I can't wait to move the money. Am I excited, or am I not excited? When at the first meeting, that guy comes in, the client comes in, and they're totally disgusted with their guy, and I can't wait to move this money. And, he never talks to me. Let's get started on this. How do we get this money moved? Do I get excited or not excited? So E for excited, N for not excited when that happens. Not excited, right, Mark? I get.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
Not excited. Yeah, so I am seeing the questions at least. So I don't know what happened, but that's a good thing. So yeah, I do not get excited, because if they're using their system 1, right? Their knee-jerk reaction, and just as quickly as they use their knee-jerk reaction to tell you one thing, they'll use a knee-jerk reaction to tell you another thing, which is I'm not moving. Because if they really hated their guy, how long ago did they move? A long time ago. So when a client says, yes, let's do this, I don't worry. I don't want them to say, yes, do this. Tell me Mark Papa, what do I want the client to say instead of, yes, let's do this? What do I want the client to say instead? How do I know I'm moving forward when a client says something, when they say what versus, yeah, let's do this? Let's see here. I'm getting lots of answers. But my guy is ripping me off, Mark Young. That's right. My guy's, then I know what. Because if he's saying, my guy is ripping me off, is he saying I'm a little uncertain? Is he saying I've made these changes before, but some of them have turned out, haven't turned out well? Maybe I should just hold off. No, if they hate their guy, if they think the guy's ripping them off, they're going to what? Move. They're going to move. So I don't care if they say yes. Yes is what? Yes means nothing. I want them to explain to me that their guy is ripping them off and how many times in different ways that guy is ripping me off. When they say that, we've moved. They're still thinking unconsciously, but they're thinking unconsciously like that SOB. They're having a knee-jerk reaction, and that knee-jerk reaction is what? That SOB told me he's my friend. My current advisor told me he's my friend. He told me he was in my corner. He told me he's going to make decisions based on me, not on him. And it ends up, he was a big, fat liar. And guys, all that stuff's going on unconsciously. The knee-jerk reaction isn't going to be saying, I'm a little uncertain. It's like, I am certain, and I'm certain of one thing. They're not certain about you. This has nothing to do with you. They're not certain about you. They're not saying, oh, I know, I finally found the right guy. No, they're certain about, I need to get away from the current advisor as quickly as possible. Now, the nice thing is, even though this is not about you, they've been working with, they're certain, 1,000% certain, they need to leave their guy because he's screwing them. He's lying to them. He's lining his pockets with them. He's hiding facts from them to make more money off of them. They know they need to leave him. Now, they've been working with you. So even though they're not saying, I love this guy, they're just saying, I hate my current guy. They're not saying they love you, but they are thinking, well, here's the thing. I'm not certain if this guy's going to be any better, but I will tell you one thing. He just pulled the curtain back on 21 different things. So he may screw me other ways, but at least he can't screw me these 21 ways. So I guess I hate my current guy. The new advisor that showed me these 21 things, he can't screw me these 21 ways. I don't know if he's the best in the world, but guess what? I'm not going to go to the yellow pages to find somebody. I'm not going to go because they may do all these other things. I might as well stick with this guy who's at least shown me these 21 things that he can never play those tricks on me again. He showed me how he cuts the lady in half. He can never trick me with how he cuts the lady in half anymore. So even though it's not about you, it's about their current advisor, how much they do not like him, they come to you not because they love you, but because you're the one that's in front of them at that point. You at least cannot take advantage of them in the way that the current advisor has taken advantage of them. But remember, this is the 5D process is not about you. It's about them discovering their current guy is not the right guy. So you help clients connect to their fear, and then they can move forward and take action. Well, their fear is what? They become face to face with the fear, which is my guy. My guy is what? My current guy is taking advantage of me. He's lying to me. He's hiding things from me, all to line his own pocket and move me backwards. So their fear is realized. Not because we tell them. Do we ever tell them that their guy is screwing them? Never, never, never. We never tell them the guy is screwing them. They tell themselves their guy is screwing them. In 21, or like I said, I ask 400 questions during a 21 point review. If you only ask 100 questions and they say 100 times their guy is taking advantage of them, do you think they're not going to move their money? Of course they're going to move their money. Of course they are. So this however, with stress and fear, if all they are is afraid, if all we do is start to say, hey, listen, you could lose money. You could lose money. You're making the wrong decision here. You're making the wrong decision there. Look at here. This is bad. This is bad. If that's all I do we do that? No, we never tell them anything's bad. We never say anything's bad. Because if you do like a lot of advisors and try to point out all the problems people have, you're creating stress and fear. When you do that, people then freeze. They don't make decisions. See, the stress brain loop creates chronic stress. So it creates this cycle where the attention goes down. If they're stressed out, attention goes down, perception goes down, short-term memory goes down, learning goes down, word finding goes down. And where we see this in our business is where? When they give us an objection. When they give us an objection, their fight, flight kicks in, our fight, flight kicks in, and both the client and us start experiencing a decrease in attention, a decrease in perception, in short-term memory, in learning and word finding. And that's why the first thing we do is say, absolutely. When they say something we don't like, we say absolutely. Because it stops the stress building cycle in its tracks. Because they did not expect to agree with them. When they give us an objection, they did not expect us to say absolutely. And they certainly didn't expect us for the next 2, 3, 4 minutes to tell them why they're not 50% right, but they're 150% right. If they say that annuities suck, we tell them, you're telling me, absolutely. Annuities do suck. I mean, you don't have to deal with them every day. I have to deal with them every day. I mean, are they expecting that? And when you do that, at first they go through a confusion. Whoa, I thought he was going to argue with me here. Oh, wait, what did he think? And then I start to explain to him why dealing with only annuities suck. Do some annuities suck? They do. So I'm just saying, and does their perception of annuities, is that how annuities work? No, it is not. It is not. But I'm going to just go through all the perceptions they have about annuities. You know, that they lock up your money, that when you die, your family won't get that money, that they have a lot of fees. I'm going to walk through all those things and how they think annuities work and tell them they're right. So what happens to their stress then when I tell somebody for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes that they're not 50% right, but they're 150% right? What happens to that stress? What happens to that stress? It goes away. And when that stress goes away, because they're thinking, this guy thinks like me. He's on my side of the table. He's not trying to ram something down my throat. He's not trying to argue with me. He's actually saying what I'm saying is smart. So what happens to their attention span? Goes up. What happens to their ability to perceive things? It goes up. What happens to their ability to remember things that I've told them? It goes up. Their ability to learn, it goes up. By getting rid of the stress, this happens. And it also happens for us, which means fast thinking becomes even more dominant when there's stress breaks. If we allow this stress to continue and we try to argue with them with the feel, felt, found, overcoming objections, all it's going to do is make that fast thinking become even more dominant. Every time you throw something at them, they're going to throw something back. When you say a feel, felt, found, they know exactly that you're salesman. They're going to fight back harder. Their knee-jerk reaction when it comes to thinking bias to take over. Loss aversion, minimize uncertainty, emotional reactions without evaluation. And all of these, guess what? All of these knee-jerk reactions, if they're still in that fast thinking and they're loss averse, they want to minimize uncertainty, and they're using emotional reactions without evaluation, guess what this means they do? They move forward or do they stop in their tracks? Do they move forward or do they freeze? If the knee-jerk reactions take over, is their knee-jerk reaction to move, or is their knee-jerk reaction is to hunker down? At least we know what we have now. We understand what we have now. We've been in this thing for 10 years, and it seemed to have worked okay for the last 10 years. So do they want to move, or do they want to hunker down if we're letting them stay in that knee-jerk reaction? They freeze. They freeze. They freeze. We don't want them to be in that. We don't want them to freeze. So the Brain Savvy Therapist Workbook, if a client is feeling empathized with and understood by the advisor, that in and of itself is a calming the brain, getting on their side, saying absolutely when they give suggestions, saying absolutely, here's the reasons why what you said is absolutely right. Not kind of right, absolutely right for 2, 3, 4 minutes. Guess what's happening? It's calming their brain. This allows the client to be guided by the advisor rather than resist. So by the time we get done with that 3, 4 minutes of telling them why the thinking is right, we could do an FIA presentation. And at the end of the FIA presentation, even though we said we hate annuities, agreed with them, by the end of the FIA presentation, guess what they say? I want that thing. We say, you can't have it. Why not? Because that's an annuity. Oh, I didn't know that's how the annuities work. Well, they don't all work this way, but this one works this way. And you don't even need to buy it. We can create it ourselves. Or we can let the insurance company do it for us. And we remember, with the FIA presentation, we walk them through. Do they want to create an FIA themselves, or do they want the insurance company to do it? And guess what they say? No, I want to buy an annuity. I don't want to do it myself. I want to buy an annuity. So the whole presentation goes through that, but they can do, the reason they'll listen to us now, the reason when we're going through an FI presentation, they're paying attention to us, they're perceiving what we're saying, they're memorizing the things that we're talking about, they're learning how an FI works. The reason they're able to do that is because we spent the 2 or 3 minutes before that de-stressing them. So then they can make a what? A system to a reasonable decision. It allows the clients to be guided by the advisor rather than resist. At the same time, frees their brains to make decisions based on the present, then more on the present than their past experiences and memories about money. Dr. Paul Greenberg, Brandman University, the number one thing to keep in mind is to reduce stress on the client and advisor both. Guys, is the 5Q does the 5Q process, is the 5Q process designed to reduce both your stress and the client's stress? Yeah, the reason we only use open-ended questions, the reason we do not tell, sell, preach, or teach is because if you try to tell somebody what to do, if you try to sell somebody, if you try to preach at somebody, if you try to teach them, adult, when you try to teach an adult, guess what? They appreciate that or they fight back. The knee-jerk reaction is what? Say, no, you're not right, you're not right, you're not right. Because remember, we're trying to teach them that they're wrong. We're trying to teach them that what they're doing right now is wrong. That's what we're trying to teach them. They don't want to be taught that. That means they have to admit they made a mistake. So we never tell, sell, preach, or teach. We use motivational interviewing. We ask them open questions, and they walk through themselves. If they walk through the decision themselves, they may get angry, they may get distressed, but do they get stressed? Do they get stressed? No, because we're not telling them what to do. They're not going to get mad at themselves. Or if they do, we have scripts on how to walk them through. This is not their fault. They hired a professional, and they should not be mad at themselves. They should be mad at that professional. We have scripts to help them do that if they get mad at themselves. But by letting them make their own decision, it greatly lowers the stress. But this push me, pull you of the normal way people sell, which is try to tell, sell, preach, and teach, is just going to ramp up the stress level. So instead, we want to ask open-ended questions to foster clear thinking, and the goal is to reduce that stress. So there's 7 lessons from brain science. Our brains are not wired to make the best long-term decisions. Our brains are wired to make the easiest decisions. And guys, when it comes to when we meet with people, the easiest decision is to move or to stay where they're at. What's the easiest decision, to move or stay? So M for move, S for stay. M for move, S for stay. What's the easiest thing for them to do? Stay. That's why we've all, guys, remember that 8th year when I got in front of all those people, saw all that money and nobody moved, I was getting gift baskets from all the advisors in town saying, thanks, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because these clients, you convince them they need to move the money, but they did it with me instead of you, Mike. Ha, 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 ha. So getting them to move the money to different investments is worthless, because the easiest thing for those people to do is to move that to the current advisor. Because remember, do people like stress? No. Do they like hassle? No. Is moving their money stressful? Yes. Is it hassle-free? Yes. Do they like confrontation? Do they like confrontation? No. Is moving their money confrontational? Even if their current guy is nice about it, they still have to tell that guy who's nice about it, they don't like him. I don't like you anymore. I need to move my money to somebody else. That's confrontational. So they don't want to move the money. They're going to come up with all, remember the iceberg, all the stuff that's going on underneath the surface. They're unconsciously coming up with all sorts of reasons why they should just stay where they're at. If you just tell them one investment is better than another. And they will go to the guy and say, you son of a gun, you had us in B shares. You son of a gun, you were telling us about the P's. You son of a gun, this tenure is crazy. They'll go through and they'll tell them all the things that you told them. If you're silly enough to give them that, the 21-point checklist, which you should not. But if you did, they'd go through all those things, and guess what their guy would say? Oh yeah, you're right. And then you think the client's gonna say, so you know what? I'm moving my investment. So they're gonna say, so you're never gonna do this again, right? And what does their advisor say? Yes. Cross my heart, hope to die, stick a needle in my eye. I'll never do these things again. And the client's, okay, I got my eye on you. How does that help you? It doesn't. They stay with their guy. There's only one thing works. Not saying that your investments suck. Not saying my investments I have are better. It's having them realize their guy has been withholding information that would have put them in a better position. And by withholding that information, instead, it made the advisor, put the advisor in a better position. That is the only thing that works because of the way human brains work. Our brains are not wired to make the best long-term decisions. They're going to make the easiest decision. The easiest decision is stay with their current guy. They think they're making rational decisions, but our rational brain is not in charge unless you disengage the system one, that knee-jerk reaction system, and put the rational brain in charge. Advisors' thinking is dominated by rational mind. We think, how can this person, I did that for a whole year. Remember, I quit this business for 2 days at the end of the 8th year after I had that, got in front of 32 million, 300 clients, 101 case analysis, and moved 3 people for $800,000. I quit. And my wife said, why? I said, because all of these doughheads here in Rochester, these idiot clients that I sat down with, are taking all my information and going back to their current guy who put them in a bad situation in the first place. How stupid are these people? And my wife's like, you're the stupid one. You're the stupid one. These clients aren't stupid. These clients are human beings. And human beings are not based 90% of the time on rational thought. They're based on emotional thought. And the fact that you don't understand that, Mike, means you're stupid, not your clients. Here, read this book, Motivational Interviewing. And that changed my life. So my wife calling me stupid is how I went from basically quitting this business after 8 years of making no money to making basically unlimited amounts of money over the next 30-some years. Because people aren't stupid. We're stupid if we think that people are making rational decisions. It's because we think this way, we think our clients aren't. They are not. Our rational brain works slow. It also requires a lot of blood flow, a lot of calories, a lot of work. And people don't want to do that. You have to walk them through it. That's why we ask those open-ended questions to force themselves to walk through these thinking things. The unconscious brain generally does not make good long-term decisions. And if you don't ask those open-ended questions, if you don't make the client work through with themselves, and if instead you try to tell them, guys, if you tell, sell, preach, or teach, how much effort does that take for a client? If you're telling them things, you're selling them things, you're preaching at them, you're teaching at them, how much energy does that take from a client? To say, yeah, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh. It takes none. It takes none. So instead, you have to ask them open questions that forces them. That's like the teacher that for calculus, which my teacher would go up there and he'd go through all these different things, all these different formulas on the board, and it would make total sense to me, right? I purposely put my study hall for the hour so I could quick run in and start doing those problems. But it made total sense when he did that. It made total sense when he did it on the board. 5 minutes later, I'm in study hall. I open the book, look at the first question, and it's like Greek. I have no clue what the hell I'm doing. The better way to teach is what? Stand up at the board like he did and do a whole bunch of formulas, or make what? Make everybody in the class be doing the problems as he's doing them, so it will solidify in our brain. And that's what we're doing with our clients, is by asking those open-ended questions, we're disengaging the unconscious brain and engaging the conscious brain. We're not letting them say, yeah, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh, makes sense, yep, uh-huh, uh-huh. No, we're saying, why does it make sense? Oh, I'm not sure. Well, let's break it down into pieces. Why does this little piece here make sense? Oh, because A is greater than B. Yeah, A is greater than B. And then you just walk them through it. Because if you don't do this, they're going to use the unconscious brain, which means they're going to do nothing. And stress is the enemy of good long-term decisions. Asking open-ended questions, letting them walk through it, and when they give us an objection, getting on their side, telling them right, lowers the stress. See, the advisor challenge is to bring the client's rational and emotional brains into alignment. Recognize their emotions and allow them to use the time to use the rational brain. That's what we do with the 5Q process. See, it's why the scripts are drawn out and methodical, to give them time to move away from the knee-jerk reaction and instead go to what? A well-thought-out decision. It's why we tap into their emotions by having them realize their advisor is disrespecting them. Not that their investments are bad, but their advisor is disrespecting them. That's how we use their emotions. It's why we do the 15-minute drill. So we get on their side and lower that stress level. It's why we then, it's why when you feel the meeting is getting out of control, we go slower and we go talk lower. And we look for the first opportunity to what? Get on their side. Specifically what? Empower them. Empower them. Tell them why they're above average. What happens when we tell them above average? What happens to their stress level? It goes down. It's why we use the power of apology so much. It lowers the stress level. When I'm apologizing, people's stress level goes down. It goes down. So it's why when we're doing the 7 non-financial things, and I'm apologizing, yeah, I know we're talking all about all this boring stuff. It's not the sexy stuff. It's not the fun stuff. It's not how you're going to grow more money. Instead, we're talking about this boring stuff about getting hurt and about dying. I get it, man. This is so irritating to cover. I get it. I apologize. I'm sorry. Sometimes I even wonder why I cover this stuff. I mean, do I get paid for helping you with your power of attorney? Do I get paid for helping you with your quality of life directive? Do I sell property casualty insurance? Or I don't do it. Sometimes I scratch my head. Why am I talking about this thing? But so I'm sorry about covering these things. But why? Why do I cover these things? And I let the client tell me why I'm covering. Guys, I'm apologizing. I'm apologizing for doing my job. Why? Why am I apologizing for doing my job instead of saying, you know what? I don't even bring a client on unless I do the power of attorney, and I think every advisor should be doing that. And I help people with their medical healthcare medical director because I think that's your job as an advisor. And any advisor doesn't do that. I don't think they shouldn't be calling themselves a certified financial planner. They shouldn't be calling themselves blah 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 blah. If I brag about doing those things, what happens to their stress level? Does it go up or down? If I brag about doing the 7 non-financial things, is the client's stress level going to go up or go down? Again, boomers, Gen Z, Gen X, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to their stress level? They start getting what? That's right, Mark. It goes up. They start getting what? This guy's really full of himself. This guy, now the message is gone. All they're doing is they're judging me, not what I'm saying. But when I start to apologize, what happens? They start to explain to me why doing those things are right. They start to come to my aid. And guys, when you're helping somebody, when you help somebody, this is science again. When you help somebody feel better about themselves, when you come to somebody's aid, what happens to your stress level? What have they found about people who do charity work? What have they found about people who actually, just as simple as giving somebody directions on the street? What happens to their stress level? What happens to their cortisol level when they're helping somebody? Do you think it goes up or go down? It goes down. The stress level goes down. They feel better about themselves. Even something as little as giving somebody directions on the street. There's tons of research on this. You know, people who do charity work, they live longer, healthier lives. Helping people makes people feel better about themselves. So when I'm apologizing, I'm doing lots of things by apologizing for those 7 non-financial things. One of them is I'm de-stressing them because they're coming to my aid. First of all, I'm not re-stressing them by bragging about what I'm doing. Instead, by apologizing, I'm de-stressing them because they come to my aid and start telling me, no, Mike, you're doing the right thing. No, any good advisor would do this. A bad advisor would not be doing. See, they're de-stressing them because they're helping me feel better about myself for covering these things. Now, what also is happening is in their brain, they're thinking, no, Mike, you'd be a bad advisor if you didn't. No, Mike, you'd be a bad advisor if you didn't. No, Mike, wait a minute, you're not even my advisor. Wait a minute, my advisor's not covering these things. Wait a minute, my advisor's the bad advisor. See, that's happening. That's happening that below. Again, we're back to the iceberg. Happening below the surface when we're doing the 7 non-financial things and apologizing, we're de-stressing them, but also below the surface unconsciously, they're starting to come to the conclusion, wait a minute, my guy is a bad advisor. Maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, we've laid the groundwork for that. If Mike's a bad advisor, Mike's a good advisor for covering these things, my guy's not covering these things, he's a bad advisor. Whether consciously or subconsciously, it doesn't matter. It's working in our favor. But again, by apologizing, we're lowering their stress level. Does that make sense? So do you see, guys, memorizing the scripts, doing the 15-minute drill, becoming awesome at gossiping, communicating. You've got the dragon by the tail. The world is your oyster, because all of these things. And believe me, I did develop the system around motivation interviewing, but I didn't read all these other books before I created the system. It was trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. But all these books out here that we cover, I think we covered 5 different books and the proof that the system works. So I didn't use these books to make the system, but these books, this research, and we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of research, have proven that you have the best tools in the industry to make whatever you want. $2 million, not whatever you want, $2 million a year. You can easily make $2 million a year if you memorize the script. If you memorize the script, you do the 15-minute drill, and you want to work 40 hours a week, you'd make $2 million a year. If you want to make less than that, well, work less, whatever. But if you're not making what you want to make right now, I guarantee you're also are not doing very well with the script and not doing very well with the Godspeed. I mean, it just comes down to that. So guys, this is all about proof that what we've given you, the tools we've given you, there's science behind it. It's not just some, hey, try this. No, there's science behind it. Make sense? Awesome, possum. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being on today. Hope you brought, guys, you don't have to do all these things that we talked about here. Take one thing from this call and say, you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of things covered. Yeah, I could do a lot of things to be better, but I'm just going to do this one thing over the next week. Just take one thing and do it every single day this week to get better. That's all you need to do. You're always going to just get a little bit better every day. Make sense? Awesome, awesome. Then you guys have a fantastic rest of the week. We'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.